Ned.
Hi.
Hey, Ned.
Hey Ned. Oh, are you starting the meeting? Are you starting the meeting?
About a minute and a half.
Oh, hey Ned. Are turkey vultures new to this area, like in the last few years? Or have they always
No,
been
they've been
here?
around decades. They've been moving northwards somewhat, but they've been around here quite a while. Turkey vulture.
It seems like, yeah, it seems like I've been seeing more of them lately.
More than lately, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They move around different places.
Like when I was a kid, I grew up in New Hampshire, I never saw one.
Rick, you'll come in
I saw
30
one in
seconds.
New Jersey when I was in my 20s, never seen one up here.
Yeah. They've
Now they're kind of all over the place.
they've been here. Their population is increasing. They're farther north now.
6 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even black vulture.
6 o'clock on July 8th. I'm gonna call the Tamworth Select Board meeting to order. And we'll start with changes and additions to the agenda. We were gonna see Bill Lambert from the DOT talk about four-way stops, possibility in Tamworth, but he had to reschedule, so hopefully we'll see him in a couple of weeks. And what was the other thing? Put some map.
The map and lots
Map
on
and lot
the, just to add a detail to the notice of decision. yeah.
Okay.
And then, the sewer commission has asked that you review and approve a request for bid.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so that's also in addition to the agenda from what was posted.
Okay. Is there anything the public would like us to take up before we get started?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Why is a Tamworth fire truck in our city, and it appeared as though they were filling a pool? Now, you can laugh if you want, but I certainly don't know.
Yeah, well, I think that's a question for Chief Calkins. I had no idea.
There was no lights on, definitely a hose from the truck heading to a pool.
That's random. Yeah, we'll make a note of it, Bruno, and look into it for you.
I'll ask him, I think I'm the liaison for the fire department.
Okay.
Was this today?
Today,
Today?
Bruno?
Today?
Was it today?
Week, hold on a minute here, folks. It was a week ago Sunday, or it's the last Sunday. But it tells you what,
So it was on a weekend?
it was on a Sunday, and it was Mill Road in, Soaring Heights, not Soaring Heights, Winsack.
Okay. I'll ask Chief.
I don't see why it should be in us.
Yeah. Fair point.
There's an admit.
Oh, thank you.
I just noticed that on the screen.
Thanks.
I don't see it, but
All right, in that case, I will make a motion to go into a public hearing regarding a special town meeting.
Second.
Roll call vote. Jerry, yes?
JJ, yes.
Curtis, yes.
We are now in a public hearing. This is regarding the town meeting was not posted entirely properly last March. Pursuant to RSA 31(5)(b), this is a procedural defect meeting that we are required to have because the annual town meeting was not posted properly. So this meeting we're calling will have one article that is, shall the town vote to ratify the results of the March 2025 annual meeting even though the posting requirements were not met? And that is the only article on the warrant. And so this is going to happen July 15th, 6 p.m. at the town house. And apparently in postings for this meeting, there was a little confusion. At one part of the posting it had this address, and in another part of the posting it had the townhouse address. But it will be at the townhouse.
And we will have somebody posted, or standing here, sending people over.
If anybody comes here by mistake, we'll have someone directing them to the townhouse. but it should be a very brief meeting. Any public comment?
And why was it not posted?
It was a,
I think it was an
There-
error.
there-
It was just
The
a-
original not posted.
There were two forms that have to be posted, and one of them got posted, and one of them didn't. And when Emily didn't know that she didn't post something until she talked to DRA at the state, and the woman said, "Oh, I forgot this is your first town meeting, and I should have reminded you." It's one of those things. It's a,
It was the MS 636.
yeah, I don't remember what the numbers are, but, yeah. So the results got posted, but this other form didn't, that has to go next to it.
yes.
Dave Searcom, my son, and also a resident. So what happens if voters say no? Like, it implies there's a choice. If they said no, would that mean we'd have to relitigate the whole town meeting?
It hadn't even occurred to me, but I suppose we would.
And you just would have to ask, why would anyone do that? Because it would cost us so much money for nothing. That's-
Right, but I just have to ask.
Yeah, no, I get that. I'm just on the record
Right.
saying, I would hope no one would do that because it would cost the town so much money for nothing.
I did
Yeah.
look at the results from the 2019, I think there was 88 people who voted no, something like that.
No, eight people voted no,
Oh, sorry, 8 people.
out of 90 total.
Okay, well, also the other question I have is, had the town meeting not being official for several months, did that affect anything in terms of making payments or budgetary?
No.
Okay.
This is, I wish we had, Emily showed us the form. I wish we had the form here to show you. It's a technicality that is something that probably no one has ever heard of and no one's looked at, but it's a check and balance. So
No, I
the
mean,
DRA, so the entity that oversees all of this was like, oh, well, this is what you have to do. It's a thing that happens. There's actually the term for it, the whatever procedural defect meeting. So they didn't say, put on the brakes, oh, this is all null and void. They didn't say any of that. They said, this happens sometimes. Go through this step, make it right.
okay, I just want to make sure there wasn't, I know that it was just a matter of posting a form, but I didn't know if that sort of held everything in abeyance until this happens.
No,
No.
I think.
no.
Anything else? Yes, David.
Does anybody know what it costs in 2019 to go through this similar procedure?
I don't have that off the top of my head. It's not, it shouldn't be terribly much for a 10-minute meeting.
I looked at the town report, I just don't know where would it appear in the 2019 town report for the second town meeting?
Well, it would have come out of
Administration.
Kim's-
Oh, it might have been
Kim's
Kim.
budget somehow.
Yeah,
Can't imagine it's more than hundreds of dollars
Yeah.
yeah,
with posting in the newspaper and everything.
yeah.
No, I'm saying if people voted no.
Oh,
No,
no,
Not
they
that- not-
didn't, they
he's
didn't
just
put the-
asking about
Like-
this.
No, I know, but when Damon first asked, and I was saying it was gonna cost us lots of money, I wasn't speaking about having this
No,
defect
but-
meeting. I was saying if people voted it down, that would be,
I understand that would be way expensive, I'm just trying to find out how expensive this is.
I'd say hundreds of dollars. is
Yeah.
probably
to hold this one, yeah.
Yeah,
Probably between posting in the newspaper and whatever, I wouldn't think that, and maybe a little bit of time from town employees.
So the question is, do technically we have to, like, we have to ask Kim, do we technically have to have ballots made for it in case someone came and said they wanted to have a secret ballot?
The last time someone did ask for a secret ballot,
Yeah,
that's
of
how
course
you
they
know
did.
the count.
if we
Yeah.
have some left from the last town meeting. From
Yeah.
the March town meeting.
Bring a bunch of paper.
Bring a bunch of paper, here's your paper ballot, there's one article.
Paper ballot, there's only one
Yeah.
article.
Was there anything on the ballot this year that was, I think the last time in 2019, there was something about accepting the sewer line, so that might have gotten more turnout than you might have this year.
I don't remember anything too
It was a sh-
controversial.
It was a short
in
meeting
March.
this year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty, yes, Paul.
And
I
is
mean,
there, it seems to me there's, the reason for you're going through this, which I applaud, is that if anybody did down the road want to challenge legally
Yeah.
this, any result from the town meeting for some later reason or whatever that they come up with, then the town doesn't look so good, and, you know, they could, so getting it
Gotta get
corrected,
it ratified.
yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
That
David's
should be
right, I
very
did this right,
easy.
it was 8 votes against.
Yeah.
81 to 8.
Okay,
And one abstention.
And one abstention.
And that might be confusion.
in that case, I make a motion to come out of public hearing.
Second,
Roll call vote, Barry, yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Tice, yes.
6:10.
Robert, yes.
At 6:10. New business. I make a motion to appoint Rebecca Boyden to the zoning board of adjustment.
Second.
A roll call vote, Barry, yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Tice, yes.
Robert, yes.
Her term is up, and so we just need to appoint her again.
Are they meeting, David, is ZBA meeting quarterly now? Quarterly?
Yes,
Yeah.
we're meeting tonight.
Oh,
Oh, there you go.
well,
Now,
congratulate Beck on that.
I will.
and now, Ned Beecher will lead a discussion on conservation easement.
Yes, so over the last year and a half, Nelson O'Brien especially has been working on behalf of the Conservation Commission on a conservation easement property on property formerly owned by Scott Aspinall, north of Cleveland Hill Road, his steeper lot there. The lot was sold to a new owner, Sarah Whitehouse, last year with a memorandum of understanding that she would then put the lot, most of the lot, into the conservation easement. You may recall this, I think this was brought to the board. I wanted to provide an update on that process. We had drafted, Nelson and I had drafted a conservation easement, shared it with Sarah Whitehouse. She and her lawyer reviewed it, came back with comments, we came to agreement, and sent it to our town attorney, who has looked it over, agrees that it looks fine. He added a few details and references and such, and punctuation, and now it's in final form. Last week I sent it to Sarah Whitehouse for final approval to say this is what we see as the final version, and it will be, should be ready then anytime now, as soon as I hear back from her, for signing. And I can answer any questions about the process or about the document itself, but it's a basic standard conservation easement that precludes development on that part of the land that's up and away from the road, away from her house, the upper part of the property. It allows for public use, it allows for agriculture and forestry, typical of other conservation easements. And we're excited that, and I'm happy and thankful that Nelson ushered this through over time.
So did she buy the old Aspinall house and then the second lot behind it? Is that what you're saying?
So the barn, he had
The
a
barn?
steep barn,
Yeah.
you know, but I think there's an apartment in there too, but yeah, that garage that he had up there, she bought his whole property.
Okay,
But not the old
but not the
house.
old house? Okay,
No,
Not the- not the two
old
lots.
house.
Okay.
No, you're right. Just that property behind that he had subdivided years ago. Yeah, and so there's a surveyed carve-out of where her future house will be and where that garage is, and then all the land up and beyond that is in conservation easement.
and wrapping down around back to Cleveland
Back
Hill,
to
right?
Cleveland Hill on the west side of the
Yeah.
property.
Do you know how many acres it is?
I don't remember,
There's a 67, 57?
something like that,
Yeah.
50-some.
So the Conservation Commission will hold the easement.
Yes. Yeah, the town signs, the Board of Selectmen signs, Select Board signs, and the Conservation Commission signs.
Yeah.
And then they sign.
Do you know what the tax implications are?
What
The tax revenue that would be lost?
the tax, implications are, it was in current use,
Yeah.
so there's a small difference between that and what the easement provides a slightly greater tax advantage to the landowner, but it's close.
And the timber tax and stuff on conservation, is that the same as current use? Like, cause isn't there a
Yeah.
greater tax on timber for current use versus regular, like,
That I don't
I wasn't
know.
aware of it, but
I always thought that there was a greater tax on current use property that was timbered versus regular property, but I could be wrong. I thought that the,
I thought it was the same for all, but I'm not sure. I don't know
Yeah.
timber
could
tax
be,
well.
could be wrong.
With it being steep, as you mentioned, what's the public benefit?
There are existing trails that have been used for mountain biking, some snowmobile tracking. I think that's not part of it anymore. It's non-motorized, and although I guess the snowmobile use Scott did for grooming, cross-country ski trails, that was it. And so, yeah, passive.
and it's a wildlife corridor from the Ospey Mountains to.
Yes, it's part of the Conservation Commission's, one of their highest priorities is protecting the large fragments of forest extending from the Ospies to the Whites.
Yeah.
And that's right in the center of that.
Yes, Bruno.
When you say the tax variation, you said it's minimal. What do you mean by minimal?
I would have to look at it, but I think in the area of a couple $100 maybe, a few $100. And there is information on cost of conservation easements and studies that have been done on our website, on our the Tamworth Conservation Commission.org website has a lot of information discussing that concern of putting land into conservation and how it affects taxes. And numerous studies have pretty clearly shown that the cost of services is less on conservation land than it is on other lands. Because you won't have any houses and development there that requires services. While that land is requires minimal to no service.
And the assumption is the land wouldn't be good to develop into anything anyways because of its steepness.
It's steep, it would be tough.
Muddy.
It could be possible, I mean, neighbors did
You really
have
wanna-
done there, but it would be costly.
Yes, David.
Is the easement being donated?
Yes. Yeah, there was no cost, except for the survey cost to the town. And the Conservation Commission has the Conservation Fund from which we support projects like this to pay survey costs and registering the deed, things like that.
Anything else for Ned?
Thanks for the update.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'll be bringing that forward
When you get it?
when we get it.
Yeah. Okay.
So that'll be good. No, I'm not. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. And now we'll hear from Paul Priestman from the Sewer Commission regarding request for bids on water meters.
The commission is requesting bids for water meters, which will allow us to demonstrate to the Department of Environmental Services that we have capacity in our system so that we can approve more uses in our area for housing and business development.
And so, what is our part in that?
My reading of the purchasing policy is that the select board
Has to-
requests bids.
Okay.
And,
Has to approve the issuance of.
right, that we don't really have that authority and we're glad to defer.
So, do you have a form or some people that you hope to send it to?
You know, 2 years ago, we investigated this and there were a handful, probably 3 or 4 companies. It's kind of a niche market. 3 or 4 companies that we spoke with and offered bids, but that's been a couple of years and we will inform these people that we're interested in bids on what we're looking for, and we'll see what comes back.
So you're gonna work with Emily when she gets back on formatting it and sending it out? I mean,
Right, all of that.
She's got all the.
Yeah, she gave me the,
And these meters will be on the residents' houses?
they'll be, it's a, first batch is primarily commercial. That seemed to be the sort of the best first step to demonstrate to DES that we're ready for more users. It's about a dozen or so.
Any feedback from them on having the meters put on their premises?
No, it's, it's mostly public, like the town office, the library, a couple businesses.
No one's screaming about the idea.
Yeah, we haven't heard anything.
And they can be read remotely, you don't have to go into someone's house
sure.
to read the
Yeah.
meters, so.
Sounds like a great step.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was good stuff.
Yeah. Well, I make a motion that we approve the sewer commission requesting bids.
Second.
Roll call vote. There, yes?
Schaefer, yes?
Price, yes.
One quick question before I
Yeah.
say yes.
Oh, sorry.
I think I asked this last time, so if a business were to have a water meter on and they were using much less water,
Well, you did ask this, yeah.
so say they had 1,000 gallons per day,
That's
they were
Allotment.
allowed
Yeah.
to go into the septic, and they only used 200 gallons per day,
Right.
at max, on average, or however you want to look at it.
Keats.
Could they be reduced from 1,000 gallons per day? Because I don't understand with DES, my understanding is somebody is allowed X number of gallons per day, even like a general 3-bedroom house, technically their septic is designed to
Yep.
450 gallons per day, I think it is, or something like that.
Yep.
So can they be reduced? Because I feel like that would cause an issue with a business, because at some point, if that business, even though they're only using 200 gallons per day now, if they're allowed 1,000, how are you gonna allow somebody else 500 when that business 2 years from now could start using the 1,000?
Sure, no,
I guess
absolutely.
I don't know how to say that.
Yeah, I think that's a part of navigating that process. Our expectation is that we will see companies and residences, the town offices, see their actual usage quite a bit less than their sort of tabled usage, what DES sort of has determined in advance is what we would ordinarily use. And I think we would probably I think we'll have a lot of room to wiggle around and would be flexible and sort of looking together with businesses and their growth, expected changes in, residences and business growth, so that we don't stifle anybody's going forward.
Because like with the town office, I feel like that, if we monitor it for 2 months or 2 years or whatever it is, that would be fairly consistent. Obviously with growth of town comes growth of use of maybe facilities here, but like if I were a business that was allowed 1,000 gallons per day or 2,000 gallons per day, and even though I was only using 200, if I was dropped back, I wouldn't be overly excited about that, because even if I only plan to use that 200 gallons per day for the next 10 years, if I were to sell my business or whatever,
You still want
you still want that potential.
Yeah, it feels like a taking, but that's not our objective.
Yeah,
Our
I was just
objective is
curious. I guess that's my only question.
I think that there is so much capacity, in reality, there's so much capacity in the system that I think everybody, all the businesses could expand and we still wouldn't reach capacity.
Because you're still working with DES's estimation for buildings that are gone, right? I mean, I thought that was one of the things you said, that there was a building that burned or that got torn down, but it's still considered, it's still got an allotment, even
Well,
though,
because it's a potential,
It's on a property or something like that.
across from my house where that little red place burned down. If someone could build there, and that would add flow to the system. So you do have to count it, but I mean, we're using probably less than a third of the capacity right now,
That's right.
in reality. So,
And our system is like maxed out. That's as big as you can go for like a.
for underground disposal,
Yeah.
it's close to 20,000 gallons a day.
And that's max. That's,
Yeah, if you go more than that, you need a water treatment plant.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
But you could have a secondary site, you could have a secondary site in
if you could
town.
find one.
Yeah, I'm just saying, but that would,
Yeah.
that's the way you'd have to go.
Yeah.
Well, that's,
We still have an open vote.
Yeah. So.
oh yeah,
Robert's yes.
Great, thank you.
I mean, this is like, this has been a conversation since I came on the board, so this is like finally some very promising motion.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thank you all for sticking with it for as long as you did.
Yes, David.
Can I ask a question? Is Tamworth Waterworks on board with this?
The Lakes Region
Yeah,
Water.
what are the names?
Company, yeah, they're fine with it. We all thought when they got a block grant to improve their water system back in 2000 or 2001, whenever that was, that they were gonna put meters on all their customers, but then they decided to save some money and not do that. But they haven't showed any, you've been in touch with them.
Yeah, they don't have any real interest in sort of working with their customers in terms of putting a water meter on there.
Oh, I thought they were opposed in the past, that was one of them.
They didn't want to pay for them.
Right.
That was their position.
So, quick question.
Yeah.
Is the water bills will stay the same though, even with the water meters?
Yes, we're not gonna be
Yeah.
sharing that information.
That's
I
their-
don't think they have capacity
They won't
to
put the meters.
integrate that, and they would need
Just curious.
permission from the Public Utility Commission
Yeah.
to change their systems.
Well, folks that have large gardens and maybe need to do a lot of watering, not sure what happens at your facility, is that gonna bypass the meter?
Usually the meter is beyond the hose spigot.
Right, just because then you're gonna be counting a lot of water in, it's
Yeah.
not going out.
Yeah, that wouldn't be going into the sewer system, so, yeah, it wouldn't be fair to count that.
I've known a lot of systems that do have that, they count all water in as all water out,
Oh,
so
wow.
you get charged for
Yeah.
effluents even if you're watering your lawn. Might just be,
This is, I mean, they're being installed, they hope to be installed by the sewer commission, so they're really only interested in water going into the sewer, not into your lawn or washing your car.
right.
So,
Because they're just being, they're a final data collecting tool
yeah,
to get this expansion.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, anything else? Go
One
ahead.
more question.
Did you vote?
I know you've.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I
Oh,
did.
okay.
Why won't they allow a meter at the distribution of the system?
We have one.
Yeah, I know. Why won't they allow that? If they're not, why would they allow this if they won't allow that?
That is a profound question. Considered many times. Yeah, we just don't know.
And that
I mean,
that meter
because
has been
The way
calibrated.
the way subsurface does their effluent, I don't see how this is gonna. I mean, I hope it makes a difference,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I just don't see. I don't see it. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, well,
I do.
I mean, Lakes Region Water has 88 customers or something, and the sewer system has 27. Lakes Region Water only pumps, do you have the
I
figure?
think it was about 8,000 gallons to all of those customers.
8,000 gallons a day to
Oh,
all their
really?
customers.
And we're allowed 20 something.
We're allowed 20,000 with our 27 customers.
That makes sense.
So, I mean.
It's like a basic word problem. Isn't it? It's like,
They won't even
It's
allow
not
you
even
that.
SAT.
estimate.
No,
Anyway.
All right, we're done with that. You can go for it.
Great, thank you.
thank you.
We are going to move on to the administrator report. What have you got for us?
How much? Having only been here one day. The account balance is $4,964,067. $677.
Okay,
That.
good.
That's it.
Okay,
Emily will be back tomorrow.
all right.
Thanks for filling in.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, my
Thank you.
pleasure.
So we will go on to the select board update. I guess all I have is that the new Tamworth Village Traffic Safety Committee did have our initial meeting. And what did we determine? We got some jobs to do some research on costs of different possibilities, and talking to Richard Roberts and various others about their feelings on different possibilities. So we are meeting again later this month, and I'll keep you posted.
Not much for me. The things are going along as normal at the transfer station. The heat wave was a bit brutal this weekend. So we had some reduced staffing for a little bit to cycle that out because it was pretty intensive there.
Yeah.
I've been told that somehow the transfer station is the coldest place in Tamworth and the hottest place in Tamworth. How the weather is, it's amazing. So other than that, no, things are going pretty smooth.
Okay. Ready for some good news? The Brownfields report is back. We'll have it, maybe it won't get on tomorrow if Emily's just coming back tomorrow, but it'll be on the website by the end of the week, and you can find it on New Hampshire DES's website. The bottom line is, with all the soil sampling and all the water sampling, there is no discernible anything. They tested for VOCs, which are volatile organic compounds, TPH, which is total petroleum hydrocarbons, SVOCs, which is semi-volatile organic compounds, and pesticides in the soil. There was nothing there that they found that was anywhere beyond like the standard deviation for testing. Groundwater, no VOCs, no SVOCs, no pesticides, which is what they tested for. Again, beyond that standard deviation. And where detected, any metals or PFAS was below any concentration that DES considers anything to pay attention to. Regulatory standards. So based on this long report with lots of tables, the conclusion is that no additional groundwater testing or monitoring has to be done. No more investigations are necessary in the property. The only suggestion that did come up is that, so they tested the test wells, and the soil testing, sampling was done in the areas that were determined in ground one as being most likely to have contamination based on being where the fires happened, where they found the spilled drum of whatever it was, where debris had been pushed, and where the dipping tank was. So like they didn't go way down into the riverbank, and they didn't go, up on the high ground because there wasn't any red flag there. So they said, if we decide to do some project and we're gonna be disturbing soil somewhere else, and if we wanted to, we could always test again. But since nothing came up in the areas that were red flag, it seems like the lot is ready for us to consider what we'd like to do with it. And so the next stage, two things. One is that Richard Doucette, in working with TSIC, they're getting equipment that will need to be stored until the building project is done. And so he was asking about access to, especially the little garage as opposed to the tall pole buildings, which seems like the most secure building. And so Rick Moreau and Richard Doucette and Richard Roberts will go check out the property to see what, if anything, might need to be done to make that safe storage until the transfer station building's done. And also to see what the state of the buildings are for storage. I know that the highway department has some bigger pieces of equipment maybe that aren't always able to be undercover, Richard was saying, and if you can put them undercover, you get better longevity out of it.
I mean, if they haven't caved in the last few winters,
Yeah.
without being shoveled, I would think we might be able to keep them shoveled once a winter and we'd be all set. but-
Exactly, and then see whatever. So they're gonna look at that, which is great. I have a meeting on the 18th, so I'll be able to report back at the next select board meeting with Novus Engineering, who's conducted all this work, and with LRPC. This is also completely free to the town under that Brownfields grant to set up what the next steps, and we've kind of talked about this at past meetings, what the next steps would look like. So one service that Lakes Region Planning offers is to help coordinate or host listening sessions, so townspeople can come in and talk about how they might like to use the land, or what they think the best use of the land is, so we get input from taxpayers. We're not committed to doing anything, like people could say build a palace and it doesn't matter, you know, like this is not a binding thing, it's not gonna turn up on the warrant the next year, it's just to get input. And then the other thing that I'm gonna learn more about is that, part of this brownfields funding also allows you to look at, so one thing that's been talked about for decades maybe, David will remember the date better than I do, is having, and I think that this came up with Norman Cloutier when he owned the property, having a public safety building there because it keeps it within the village area, so all the people who get the insurance benefit maintain that. Anyway, if that became something that we talked about, whenever that came to be, at this moment, Novus Engineering can do a brownfields assessment of the current fire station and the current police department, which was at one time in the day the highway department, just to see what we'd have to do with those properties, if anything, to transform the use or to sell without having any liability. So I'll find out more about that and tell you on the 22nd when we get back. So that's great news, and if you want to read the entire report, it will be posted soon on our website, or you can look at DES now. And the only other thing is, because Emily's been out, we were gonna work on follow-up to the last conversation about reimbursing people who had paid their $100 building notification fee. And we haven't been able to do that because she's been out. But I did do the second thing that I said I would do, which is drafted what I think is gonna be just a temporary replacement for that building notification form, so that it clarifies that it's voluntary, that there's not a fee involved, that also reminds people of the other regulations that are connected to land development or building in Tamworth. And that I think we should discuss, that should go on the agenda at the next meeting, assuming it's with the attorney right now and you have a copy, you're all CC'd with the attorney.
Yeah.
I just put that in your, I just emailed that before this meeting, so we'll be able to discuss that once we get the attorney's feedback at the next meeting. So that'll be the next step. Yeah, that's what I got.
Emery.
I hope everybody had a great 4th of July. Other than that, it's been pretty hot out the last few days, and I will say, with my line of work, I'd rather 90 degrees than minus 20. So for whoever says they want cold weather again, I disagree. But that's about the only update I have.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move on to, let's have some chance for public input again. Anything? Damon?
Damon at the Sun again. Just curious if the board had any thoughts or updates from the last discussion on the social worker.
Oh,
With the police department?
Yes.
yeah, I can give you a tiny update, because we only got a tiny update. So we did, after we presented the last meeting, there was another just a little tweak to the job description. And I'm actually, I don't, it should be getting posted anytime soon.
I saw, it's all on Indeed.
It is on Indeed, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And it should be in the paper.
so, the next step is that Chief Littlefield is convening a small group to do interviews when it's time, and we'll keep you posted.
Do you have a time frame when you want the person hired, or that's really up to the chief?
It's up to the chief, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, that's his, it's his hire, yep. But I think he's wanting to move it along, you know,
Yes, as soon as possible.
assuming that we get some good candidates in,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, we'll move on to the signature file. I make a motion to approve the select board meeting minutes from June 24th, 2025.
Second.
Roll call vote, Barry, yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes.
I make a motion to approve intent to cut forms for map 413, lot 19, access road Meeder Road. For map 413, lot 2 and 4. Map 420, lot 41, access Bunker Hill Road. For map 415, lot 17, 50, 51, and 25, access Depot Road.
Second.
Roll call vote, Barry, yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes.
Make a motion to approve abatement for map 408, lot 14 for $556.
Second.
Can you explain this?
Billed to the wrong party.
Okay,
So one is being refunded and one is being
okay.
billed anew.
Do we have a second? Okay, roll call vote, Barry, yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes.
Make a motion to approve supplemental bill for map 408, lot 14 for $556.
Second.
Roll call vote, Barry, yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes.
And I make a motion to approve the notice of decision.
Second.
This is our attorney's write-up on the, I can't ever remember the numbers, piece of,
On the map, you want me to read them off?
No, it's with the
No,
form, it's
it's
with
the
the,
form.
with the
oh,
PA 60?
PA 60,
yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, that we discussed at the last meeting.
yeah, this is, yep.
Okay,
Second.
you second it.
Yep.
Roll call vote, Barry, yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Fabulous.
That's
We don't
6:42.
want to go backwards.
What time is it? Is it 6:40?
42.
I think so, we're pretty close.
I don't feel like I got one.
Yeah.
Aren't we all?
I think I knew about the,
I think it.
Because
I haven't looked back in forever, I'm short. I'm
okay,
good. We're
I
good.
keep checking with them, and I'm like, you got it all, right? Yeah, okay.
No, you're good.
Will you let me know?
I will.